Do you have any questions? Put your hands up. Yes, Christopher?
Is it true that you're Ben?
Do you mind repeating the question, Christopher?
Is it true that you're a queer? Queer. Well, as you look it, there's been a rumour going around the school that you're a queer. Come on, admit it.
Yes, it's true. All right, now you know. Get on with the work.
I think, like a lot of people, I think, you know, there was an element of escape initially. In my case, it was suburbia. Quite interestingly, very near where I lived, almost at the end of my road, there was a studio which I would really like now to know much more about, called Merton Park Studios. I actually got some access into the studio once, and I was just quite spellbound, really, by the whole make-believe aspect of it. That was perhaps an initial pull. It was an excellent experience. I think that at that time it was, I think apart from the Royal College of Art, I think it was the only place where you could study film. I have this vague memory of Cassavetes coming in and showing Husbands, for example. And I think the connections the school had with people meant that there was a flow in and out of filmmakers, and the people who were teaching there were still making films. Well, I think because the film school brought me to London, I was obviously at some sort of tipping point in my life, not quite aware of it. I mean, heading toward a crisis, I would say. And you could say that the making of the film was some element of coming out with it, at least amongst the people I was working closely with. And I do remember at the school, it was, you know, it was a bit of a shock to a few people that I'd made it.
Hello.
Hello.
Haven't seen you in a long, long time.
No, I'm busy.
Still teaching?
Yes, and writing. I'm married now.
All right?
Yes. Thank you.
There was also a stronger and stronger feeling that this life should be expressed, and that my own story was, I increasingly realized, was very common. There was nothing unique. Whereas, you know, when I was 16, 18, I did think I was unique. I mean, again, it sounds absurd, but I thought, you know, there must be something wrong. Where there was any imagery or dramatization coming into films and cinema, films and television, it was very exotic, it was very histrionic. I couldn't connect with it at all. And then talking to other people, their desire for me to do something, that maybe I could be a kind of conduit or a catalyst for something to happen.
A lot of people were sort of moving off down the street round a corner, so I sort of tagged along. And I went down into this kind of cellar, paid some money to go in. And I was really, really shocked. I mean, it was just full of men dancing together.
And you were surprised?
Surprised, yeah, I was. I just didn't think that places like that existed. And then someone came up and said, would you like to dance? I mean, I really had to think about that. I thought, well, you know, I'd never done that before. I'd never been in that kind of situation. And then I thought, well, that, you know, that's what you've come for. I mean, everyone else is, and so I did dance. And it was very strange, because I'd never sort of had that physical contact with anyone like that before.
We developed, I don't know, 7, 8 drafts of the script, but on that particular film it wasn't written, it wasn't direct speech. It would say, you know, she reacts shyly, or she tells Jim that her husband didn't want her to come out tonight. It was that sort of thing. And we had that as a kind of open book, so that anyone involved in the project with us could read it and then make their remarks. Don't know if you could do that always, but because there were so many people with their ideas, and of course there comes a point when people are absolutely contradicting each other. You know, the most bizarre idea of all really, which was to make a kind of gay epic, at least a gay Nashville, to make something huge. So I think we might even have thought, well, if it's 4 hours, it doesn't matter. But then getting the finance became, of course, the issue. I think it was pretty instinctive. I hadn't read much. All my reading of Stanislavski and, you know, looking in depth at Cassavetes' work came much later. So I think we were just feeling our way. I honestly can't think of anything else that kind of guided us. Ignorance, you know, ignorance, confidence in just experimenting. Well, I met him, in fact, in a gay coffee bar. It was a coffee bar come disco. Well, it was a club that didn't serve alcohol, but it was a disco. And it was one of the only ones, you know, I think I knew 4 or 5 places in London, and I met him there. And we talked, and it was very interesting so quickly to learn that we were both trying to make films. And he was trying to get Sebastian made, and I was trying to get Nighthawks made. So it was quite, you know, that early on, we were both trying to make quite substantial films. So when Nighthawks happened, he was very happy to come along and be part of it. And he seemed very happy with the thing at the end.